something in the hills, so I lost something in the hills.
Please welcome Sibylle Baier. So this is the first time you've seen this in quite a while.
Yes.
And what were the thoughts going through your mind?
I'm so moved. I'm just so moved. Generally, some of you might know that I do like Wim from the song, but I also like his films, of course, and especially his road movies, because they have this very different pace and a spaciousness about them, which is inviting me every time, moving me and inviting me to be with everything and resonate with it more. And Wim, in his road movies especially, never completely wrote the script. You know, in other movies you have a script, and even the weather or a mood or a certain scene is artificially created, and not necessarily in these movies, because there is a situation that just occurs and it feels serendipitous, but it's incorporated, or a certain light happens and that will be incorporated. And I feel this is like life. Things happen, and if we're open to it and trusting it, having the patience and the humor, it puts you where things fall into place. And I really enjoy this very, very much. And one more thing is, I was so reminded again how very, very much Wim loves children. You probably would agree with that.
Yeah, you were talking earlier just sort of about the spaciousness of the film. It has a lot of sort of air between the scenes. And
his most of his films do.
It's so unfamiliar, like in a modern way, right. You know, like films aren't cut in quite this way, other than the ones that have been directly influenced by.
Yes.
Maybe you have seen this film that came out a couple of years ago, Mike Mills' film, Come On, Come On. It just directly influenced by...
Wim actually, of course, as you probably know, has a school of seeing. He wants to teach that and inspire younger filmmakers to have this spaciousness into the trust into what is, not necessarily what you dreamed up or.
So you were talking just about the sort of natural way he makes these films, where it's not all like written out perfectly. So your scene, I think everyone probably knows, your scene is very much near the end on the ferry, and you're singing to your daughter Julia the song Softly. So was that something where he said, please sing that one song, or was that just you being yourself?
It was, Wim used to, at the time, it's an old film, 52 years this year.
Well, 50 years it got released, but I think you were making it a little bit like 51 or 52 years ago, yeah.
So at the time, he lived with us, and he wrote part of the script in our house. And so he enjoyed our children very much, and our dog, and was shooting the film. And then he called at some point and said, because during that time also he enjoyed, probably, obviously, some of the songs that I'd written at that time and sang in the house. And so he called and said, do you want to come and be in a scene and sing softly, because it's about my children. And Julia and I drove there and went to the ferry, and Robbie unfortunately couldn't come. He had to go to school during that day.
Could have been a movie star.
Yes.
So
Yes.
close.
Yes.
But maybe we go back a little bit further. So how did Wim Wenders come to be living with you and your family?
Well, I had a girlfriend. I mean, you don't say girlfriend here, a woman friend. And they were together at the time, and she came visiting. And my husband had made a little cassette tape from the reel-on-reel tapes of my songs, and put a few of the songs that were there already and called it Color Green. So we owe it to him. And it was on the phone. I think my girlfriend was on the phone with, he was calling her and said, what's the music impact there? Because Wim very, very much loves music also. And so he was interested, and they came visiting. And I can't remember, do you?
So just
we
complete.
hit it off. and she and him stayed with us, for a while.
So just complete happenstance that he overheard the song.
Yeah. Well, and then he heard them in the house, during the time.
Oh, so when you would play music for him live, or he would just hear the reel-to-reel
I did
tape?
sometimes. He asked for it, and I was writing at the time, so I was back in the bedroom and with the reel-to-reel tape, and especially in the evenings, because I was at the time was still playing theater and came home late, and then and the children knew some of the songs and sang along, and the house was often full of musicians or theater people or.
Yeah, so maybe just talk about the scene. So this is Berlin?
No, this is in southwest Germany, in Stuttgart.
Stuttgart.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole artistic scene that you're part of at this point in the early 70s?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't call it that, would you?
No, I would just...
People just came to the house.
Yeah, through friends of friends, artists just ended up hanging out at our house. And there were jazz musicians or dancers or... I don't know why it was mostly artists.
Yeah.
But the household was a magnet for
It seems to be,
kinds
yeah.
of people?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
could you describe why the household would be a magnet?
We had beautiful kids, we had a big dog, we had cats, and I did all kinds of things, and it was always a mess, and
I think it's because my father and my mother were very creative people. My father was a writer and also a musician. He played several instruments, and my mom is not just a musician, but she loves to, be creative in all different ways, whether it's drawing or painting or making quilts or sewing or gardening. So it was, they were just creative people, so that it would attract, other creative people. And I think, don't you think that, your friend Claudine was working at the Zahnradbahnhof, this old train station that had like a restaurant in it, and I think a lot of artists used to hang out there, and you met a lot of people there.
I didn't. Your father did. I had to take care of the
You,
kids.
yeah, you were the kids. my dad hung out there, and that's how. Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it, and it was close to the house,
And actually, Claudine was the reason why songs existed at all, this color green, because that's the ones. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Well,
yeah.
I want to say something else before
go
we
ahead,
talk
go ahead.
about music. Is that I'm sorry I can't see you, but I'm sad that I can't sing or play for you some of the songs of Color Green or newer ones because I have a very wobbly health, and in case it returns, I would hope that I could come back and sing something live to you if you would.
Yeah.
If you would agree.
Sounds like you have a ready audience. sounds like you have a ready audience, not only here, but in many other places in the world.
Thank you.
I mean, probably everyone in the room knows that, I don't know if we should do the flash forward and then come back again. The record Color Green came out 20 years ago, and it was because at your 60th birthday, your son located these reel-to-reel tapes and played it for the party. And people were blown away. Did I make that completely out?
No, it's kind of related to that. But my father and I were discussing the idea of taking these reels and turning it into a record for the party, just to press CDs, you know? So I got the reels from the attic, and I mixed them in my studio, and basically recreated the Color Green cassette that he had created, you know, years before, and then printed 100 of them and handed them out at the party. It was a rather large party because she's quite popular.
Well, my children threw me that party.
Yeah,
so.
And she was quite, you know, I think she was kind of tickled by it, but also kind of shocked that, you know, we would release this record now out of the blue as a surprise. And yeah, from there, it's, you know, some of those records ended up with other friends of friends, and then it ended up in this at this record label through Jay Mascis, who's a friend of a friend. And
so since then it's sold tens of thousands of records.
Right.
And if you go on Spotify, some of the more popular songs have been heard like 10 million times.
Yeah.
So these.
Yeah. She never goes and checks out her own music.
You're very big.
You're huge.
So now let's go back to the early 70s again. And so these reel-to-reel tapes, like I'm trying to get a handle on your relationship with music. Was this just something you did for your own amusement, and if people came by the house, you'd sometimes pick up a guitar and?
No, it was well, at the time I don't know, I picked another. It was an American from San Diego, a young man with his girlfriend, who played in the Forum in Stuttgart, right? And he had a friend, another American. What was his name?
I know which one you mean.
Who later bicycled from our house around the world. And, you know,
How much time do you have?
yeah. So, and he sang a song there, this world traveler, and he said, "There is no maple syrup in Europe. There is no peanut butter in Rome. And the girls of Geneva deceive you. I wanna go home." That's what he said.
You remember that?
I do. And I went up to him and I said, "You poor lad, we have maple syrup. Come for Sunday morning, and we'll have pancake and maple syrup." So, and he brought his friend who was a musician, who was a guitar, you know, not a songwriter, but. And then they ended up living in our house for 2 years. Why was I saying that?
So the maple syrup song leads to you picking a guitar up? I'm not quite sure where this goes.
No, then I was interested. He was teaching little Robbie at the time the guitar, and I picked up I tried to pick up some of the riffs or something. And but how the songs came about, I hadn't written songs. And the beginning of that was in the song it's called "Remember the Day." February, and Claudine from that.
Yeah, she was the woman I was mentioning before who ran that restaurant in that train station. That was her good friend. And
it was a little French restaurant, and they had a party with French food 2 days ahead. And she came to visit me, and I was in that painful February mood. And she pulled at me and said, "Come on, let's go to France, to Strasbourg, you know, which is not too far away, and buy authentic French food." And finally I said, "Okay, let's." And we were there and had lunch, and one of us goes to the bathroom and then the other one, and we come back and said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" She said, "Yes." And we drove across the Alps into Genoa, and it was. I called home in the evening and said, "Honey, I'm not coming home tonight. You feed the kids." And then we went through France back over the Alps the next day, and then cooked for the party. And it was so intense, and that imagine it's February on the Alps, and suddenly on the pass we come over and it is all foggy. And what we had to do to proceed was, she had the door open, I hold her hand on here, and I'm trying to find the side of the road on the other side until the fog lifts, because it was in the middle of the night. And what do? I mean, it's a little bit like the movie we just saw, right? You come in situations and you deal with them. And then I came home and was so struck and picked up the guitar and said, and wrote "Remember the Day." I don't know if I wrote it or it wrote itself. And from then on, one after the other came out. And I have no idea why I wrote them in English.
Yeah, I was listening to them today, and I was like, that's very strange that this German woman is singing completely in English, but you have no idea why.
I have an idea about that. I mean, most of the music that was listened to at home, my father's record collection was basically all English. I don't think he had a single German-speaking record. Right. And so and American music was very popular in Germany at that time. So to sing in German is kind of, it just feels kind of strange when you've just been inundated with that, with English music. So to me, it makes sense like that.
But how much facility did you have with English? Were you speaking English often? Yeah.
Well, yeah, in Germany you start to learn it with 10 years and go
in school
for 9 years. So pretty well, yeah.
So post-war, everyone was
still.
Wow. You were born in 1945? 44. So during the war. Ah, you just turned 80?
I made it.
All right, congratulations. I really want to hear Remember the Day, since that's the song that started off. Jack, are you back there? Would you be able to play Remember the Day?
Remember the day when I left home to buy some food, myself in that painful February mood. I did what I could. Remember that day when I left home to just buy some food, considering if one should die or if one should. Sun was high and I found me on the road to Genoa. Did you ever drive in a monster constitution and find to reach the seaport and dawn is a solution? You should if you could. There slowly, slowly I no longer thought, oh, what is good or what is not. There simply was the water smell and remoteness. I only stood and watched that old cold ocean, and tender and grateful unspeakable emotion. I did what I could. All was good.
I mean, it's pretty uncanny. I mean, you just pick up the guitar and that comes out? Yeah. So would you describe that as like channeling or?
Well, I once read at a chiropractor, I read what is this, a magazine for old people, and there was an interview with Bob Dylan, and he said his young songs, he has no idea where they came from. And I said, yes, this is how it feels. Very strange.
Yeah, I guess he talks about the songs from the mid-'60s, you know, like those 3 or 4 records is just sort of pouring out of him.
Right.
And so that whole record is just, would you describe it as like a trance state that you got? No?
No, I mean, I was always very into music, and but more classical, and especially world folk songs, which I learned many through a strange coincidence, or because I was a Girl Scout, and I had been invited to be the representative of Germany in a world camp in Switzerland. And I don't know, I learned so many in different languages and in different modes and moods. And as we know, folk songs can make you feel so farsick and so homesick, and were very moving to me, and that's it seemed real to me, and somehow I felt since basically all the songs also are true stories. It was like these stories sung in a mix of classic and folk and whatever else was in the house, jazz and then your music and so on. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that they're kind of like, I always look at them like they're diary entries. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, probably how you try to process your all the questions of your situation and of your life and purpose. And, yeah.
They're all very like tapped into this deep well of emotion. Is it something that was something that came naturally to you in day-to-day life, or was this the sort of repository for those deep emotions that you'd feel about your life?
No, I think I am that way. Am I?
Yes.
So it's very natural to you.
Very natural. What I now realize is that I wanted to make what did I want to make? I wanted to make them a good piece, a good piece of good music. And when the CD for the party came out, I said, who wants these old emotions? Who wants to listen to them? And I was reluctant to even like them. After a glass or two, I played one, and my husband and I danced to one, and so I eased up. But what I realized is I was glad to feel that after all those years, I could say that they were well made, or they were, yeah.
So is there a little bit of distance between you and the person who made these songs, or does it feel very much like a continuation from that person who was 50 years ago and who you are today? Or do you look at it more objectively like, oh, that's just this funny other person who made these songs?
That's a good question. Yeah, when I saw myself and Julia in the film, I would not have recognized myself. But well, of course, the songs would be different today, or are different today. But and I forget that I wrote them. I forget this life of myself, this part of me, until you remind me, or a letter comes, or there is, let's say the connection is here, but not here.
Yeah. So can you just give us a little insight into the way most of them were written? Did you write in a journal and write all the lyrics first, or did they come all pouring out music and words at the same time? Mm-hmm. It was always like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this, and you can talk about this when I'll just kick it off. But normal songwriters, I write songs as well, and usually what I do is most people that I talk to, you come up with a riff, or and then you start you have like a verse structure, and then you maybe sing to it a little bit. You just make up lyrics, and then you maybe have a chorus structure, and you kind of piece the song together like this. What she does is, do you want to talk about your process?
You tell me.
I tell you. Well, so she will literally like take one chord and sing and write the lyrics at the same time, and she'll play with this until she's happy with that, and then she'll move on to the next word and next chord and next melody, right? So it's really unique and interesting because it really allows the writer, how I'm imagining it, to just feel each moment and make it go where it wants to go. And that's why her songs are not kind of like, verse, chorus, middle section, verse, chorus. They're like, they really like more classical in that sense, that they have movements and they go somewhere.
Interesting, because that's what I wanted to try to say about Wim's films also, right? To be open and have that trust in the search for the beautiful picture. I mean, in the film, the what do you call it?
You mean the way? What do you call it?
Mise en scène?
No, not the
but
Polaroid.
like when you like
the frame.
Thank you.
Yes,
it's the frame. And with making a song or asking for the song, basically it's like I tuned the guitar to my ribs of the day. They were never tuned to the.
Right. It's not like a regular tuning.
You said tune to the ribs
ribs
of your day.
She tuned the guitar until it like felt good against her ribs or in her body. So
where you're getting a certain vibration that you wanted that day.
Where her rib cage kind of feels good to her.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm really absorbing that line. That's really something.
And then the songs went the same way. So there is a certain feeling. I want to sing about this, or it and the words, even the sound of a word or and a chord knows it wants to go there now, and I don't do much to it.
So it's very intuitive.
Probably,
where you're going. I really want to hear another song. This is the one that I first heard. That I think many people in this room have had the experience of like overhearing one of your songs in the distance and being like, what is that? And this was the song that I first heard. Jack, could you play Lost Something in the Hills?
Every time I shed tears in the last past years, when I pass through the hills, why images return, I yearn for the roots of the woods, that origin of all my strong and strange moods. I lost something in the hills. I lost something in the hills. I grew up in declivities. Others grow up in cities, where first love and soul takes rise. There were times in my life when I felt mad and depressed. When I pass through the leg-high grass, I shall die. Under the jessamine, I shall die. In the elder tree, I need not try to prepare for a new coming day. Where is it that fills the deepness I feel? You will say I'm not rubbing the hood, but how could I hide from top to foot that I lost something on the hills? I lost something in the hills, oh, I lost something in the hills. Now I lean on my windowsill and I cry, though it's silly, and I'm dreaming of off and away. Oh, I know far the west these hills exist, marked by apple trees, marked by a straight brook that leads me wherever I wanted to. Well, I lost something in the hills. I lost something in the hills. So I lost something in the hills.
How did you hear that?
I feel like it was a good 15 to 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how any of us happen upon your music,
Right.
but I do remember being really struck by it. I mean, it's the meaning of haunting and pretty devastating. The deep devastating quality of all these songs is really like so unusual.
Right, but I feel we all have been there and come back to it, more or less often. And I think that is the wonderful thing about, a line in poetry or a sentence in a book or a picture or a phrase in a song. And suddenly and eerily we resonate with that. And even for a brief moment, it consoles us that we're not alone in this awesome ride of joy and pain of life, right?
Mm.
And I think that's what's happening. It's what happens for me with Wim's film, for example, and maybe that happened to you too.
Yeah. So I do want to turn it over to the audience. I bet there's a few people who want to talk to you directly. The room is relatively small, but do we have another mic jack somewhere? But or I could give you mine. I have a pretty booming, yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
We can share one.
Yeah, is there someone on that side of the room who has questions for Sibylle?
I would love to know, what a few of those records were that you were listening to at that time.
I didn't.
Yeah, I think the one, well, sometimes you mention Joan Baez, that's about the only one.
Oh, she taught me how to do a hammer on the guitar, because I had her record of ballads and English ballads, which I really very much liked, and one was on a wagon bound for market. Remember, and it starts dun diddle dun diddle, and I thought, how can she get from here to there so fast? Dun, diddle. until I figured out she's hammering. So that was the only record you remember and I remember, yeah.
Yeah, I don't, in my whole childhood, I don't remember you ever putting on a record. You know, it was my father was playing all this stuff, and I think maybe subconsciously she was maybe influenced by.
Well, maybe you want to answer the question, what was in the house then?
Oh, what was in the house? Okay, I think big things in the house were like Elton John.
Clearly an influence on you.
Yeah. Let's see what else. There was lots of jazz, but I don't know what. Randy Newman, he loved. Joe Cocker. There was even some like, I don't know why, but there was even some Rod Stewart. I remember. But
So you must have been picking up some through osmosis. It was in the air, in the house. It wasn't something that you were drawn to put on the record player, but the music was playing somewhere.
It was playing, but I don't hear any of those influences in her music.
No.
She's really her own thing, you know. Yeah.
And I, for example, I even have never heard of Leonard Cohen or people like that.
Well, you've never heard a Leonard Cohen record?
No, now she has, but back then,
back then,
she,
no,
yeah,
okay.
or Vashti Bunyan, she sometimes gets compared. She doesn't know who that is, or
Nick Drake?
No,
No?
she won't. No. Yeah.
Any other folks?
Hey, yeah, so I have a question about all the songs on the album. How long was the time period of you writing all those songs, and how long did that time period last from making all the songs on the album?
I don't know, like, I mean, what, 3 or 4 years? Yeah. It was like maybe 70, let's see, maybe 73, 72.
72 till, or 72 till maybe close to 80 before we came here.
But Color Green, the songs end around 1974, around when this film comes out?
Do you think...
They were, yeah. They were all there already.
Do you think that the songs you did for Umarmungen, that movie,
right.
is that's in the end, right? Or is that kind of in the middle, do you think? Like that...
That was in the second third.
Second, third, okay.
And then I later, the ones that are in Color Green, they are all from earlier mid-70s and or late some. And then we moved here 79, or I came first 79. We moved in 80, right, or 81. And I wrote some more, and
but those aren't on Color Green.
Right, and then I wrote on the piano, and that was the question. Yes.
So are these songs to me typify late night, like all the kids are asleep and you're crouched in a corner somewhere being very quiet and being very close to your mic. Am I making this up?
No, the recording definitely. The writing might have been different in broad daylight. But the recording, yes.
And where are you sneaking off to record these?
This was my bedroom.
Just in your bedroom every time?
Propped it up on books, the little
recorder.
reel recorder, which my husband had in the house because he did interviews with people, and that was that.
And it's just you by yourself in that room. So you kicked him out, or he just happened to be gone, and you would turn on the recorder.
Right.
And how often, like, would this be once every few weeks that you'd be inspired that way?
The way I understand it is, and when I was going through the reels, there's many takes of the songs sometimes on different days, and they sound kind of different. But she would. It would take her a long time to get a good take, because she's not like a professional guitarist. She hasn't
not a session man.
The last time she played guitar maybe was when she was a Girl Scout. This is like, I don't know, 12 years ago or something, and so she practices and practices and practices until she gets it right once, right, and then it's on there, and then she kind of never plays it again.
Oh, so the take we're hearing is usually the ultimate take.
It's already the ultimate take.
It's your choice.
Well, kind of is my choice. Well, I
But
went.
it's usually the best take is the
It's
last
usually the
one.
best take, yeah. And I selected which take I thought was the best one for various reasons. Sometimes it was because she had the microphone too loud and was just too distorted or something, you know. But so I just want you guys to know that this idea of her just playing it over and over again. I don't know. What do you think? Sometimes you play it probably 50 times, right?
I don't think so.
No. How many times do you think?
But it's if you ever make something, you're obsessed with it until it's, you know, you play and play and play it over. Or maybe if you even bake something or make your garden and before you go to bed, you walk through your garden and it's, oh, this is gorgeous, and I want to hear this again. No, this is not, you know. So you do it over and over and over, and then until I'm proficient enough to. And then it's done, yeah.
I don't want to focus too much on the technical recording, but there's something very special about the way this is recorded. I think people would kill to have this sort of rich, soulful sound. I mean, you're a recording engineer. How did she get this to sound so good? Or maybe you should start.
She would. I don't know if you have much to say to that.
No.
Yeah. I think part of it has to do with the. You know, when you professionally record a guitar, the sound hole is here, and you put the microphone here. You know, because this is too boomy and loud, and it distorts. But she probably had, you know, the recorder was there on the books and aiming right at her guitar, and so her, like you could hear on the speakers, like the low notes are like really loud and too accentuated. Really, like a normal recording would not have this much low end in the recording, but that's what is there.
Well, also the low notes. I'm in love with bass notes, right? And the bass line also, yeah.
And she has the guitar tuned even lower than normal, right? Because she likes how it felt against her body, so it's like even lower and boomier than on a normal guitar.
So it's a very unstandard tuning.
It's how can I explain that? It's like the relationship is like a regular tuning. It's like you can play the same chord shapes and it'll work, but everything's just tuned down, usually 2 half steps, so one whole note or 1.5 notes lower.
But it's not like specifically like a drop D or
no, it's not like that. It's a regular tuning, just everything is lower.
I didn't know about open tuning or anything like that.
Okay. And she didn't have a tuning, she probably had the tuning fork, but she didn't use it. She just, like...
But it's just so intensely musical. I mean, you're hitting all the notes just perfectly. It's pretty uncanny. Any other questions from... I can hand you this.
See, I'm just wondering, the way you described it, did the songs like change at all while you're recording them, or were they pretty much like memorized and then you record the same thing over and over again?
Well, I think if I would sing them today or with every, or not with every, you would know this better, but it's of the moment also. So sometimes I would, that's why it's hard to you know, play this one more time, or the measure would be repeated or not, depending on the moment.
Yeah. So she would sometimes, you know, play a section longer or shorter, but the basic concept of the song would be there. But she would just maybe feel like, oh, I'm going to wait a little bit more before I sing the second verse this time, because she just felt it, something like that. Yeah.
Are you feeling good still?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. You're an excellent conversant. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. So, any other folks? I could probably just go down this aisle.
So we've been focusing on this album, but you have spoken from the very beginning that you're a creative individual that works in very, very many mediums. What are you working on lately?
Working to be here and be healthy enough to be here. As I said, my health is wobbly, but at the moment this is maybe going too far. I have this idea of making a living garden museum, meaning rooms of gardens 30 by 30, a historical way from indigenous gardens here to pioneer gardens to and on until future geothermal gardens in connection with the neighborhood that is dilapidated, and wanting to integrate those two to get the neighborhood revitalized. And that was inspired by the mayor of Palermo in Sicily, who restored the city of Palermo by involving the citizens and making them feel they are part of this old culture, and he could get the mafia to the edge of the city through that in the 20 years that he was mayor. And so, well, there you have it.
Thank you.
At the time of when you were writing the music in the early 70s, what were your ambitions in terms of performing or distributing the music? And do you remember what your motivations were for recording the songs? But did you feel as if you had ambitions in terms of sharing the music or performing the music at the time?
No, I don't think so. Would you?
Yeah, I really think she primarily made the music just for herself, because the songs needed to be born, or they just came to her, and it was time for them to come out. That's the primary impulse. There wasn't like something beyond that, like, oh, I'm going to rehearse a set. She never had a set she could play, and I don't think there was ever a period where she could have played all those songs in one go. There might have been a few songs that, like the kids, we always wanted to hear, my daughter, my son, of course, because we're in those. And there was like Tonight, there were some nights where friends came over and she would play that song, or that's what I remember. There were probably a few others that you kind of played a little bit more. And then there was, because my father was a filmmaker, through his connections, there was an opportunity to write music for a movie called Embraces. And she just did that because the opportunity was there, and why not, kind of, right? Like, they're friends of friends, and so she did those 3 songs, and they were actually recorded with an orchestra, which is what the last song of the album is. That's why that song is so different, because it was kind of part of that collection. But, she was, focused on the kids and friends and family. It was a very rich life. She didn't really feel like she needed to go out and tour, And I mean, sometimes now she thinks, God, why didn't I do that? But then I kind of,
I wouldn't have survived, I don't think.
Yeah. So she has moments of thinking, why didn't I do that? But, it's just not her nature.
Any other? Oh,
I was just curious, if you stayed in touch with Wim Wenders, and after the release of the film, was there talk of like doing a soundtrack or working with him again, or what the response was?
Yes, we have been friends ever since when he wrote Alice. And as I said, he said hello, because I talked to him 2 weeks ago and said, hey, do you want to say something? Or very much in touch, right?
Yeah, I mean, when Wim comes and stays in New York, often he'll come up and stay at.
Or you went down when he had his retrospective,
right?
Because I wasn't well enough to go. So
the families kind of keep in touch, and sometimes they don't see each other for a few years, but they'll talk on the phone or send each other emails, and they're friends, like long.
Yeah, and then how many years ago is that? He called and said, can you write have you been writing in between? Do you have some songs for my film? Or would you write some? And we did, and I wrote 2 and offered them to him, and he took 1 for the Palermo shooting. So yes, we are in contact. It's wonderful.
I have a question. When did you come to America, and why?
We came in 81. I came in the 70s, later 70s, to visit the friend that was actually in the film also.
The lady who was in the park that they end up talking to, that was her best friend back then.
So, and she had fallen in love with somebody in the U.S. and moved here, and she was in the woods, and she was a city girl, and said, "Please come visit me. Please come visit me." And and I came in the winter. It was even February again, and fell in love with this Western Massachusetts, and said to the family, "Whoa, you must come see this." And it was pretty wild, like 40 years ago now. Now it's more suburban, like everything else, but it's still pretty wild, and that was what we were looking for. And we helped establish a owner builder school there.
It's like a timber frame,
right?
Yeah.
Energy efficient, and so we started to build a house, and we're off the grid. We were the last hippies, and sometimes I feel I know farther west these hills exist, marked by apple trees and a straight brook. I think it had to do with that vision.
Right, you imagined Western Massachusetts when you were living in Germany.
I had no idea about Western Massachusetts.
But you foresaw it somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this audience could probably talk to you for another few hours, but I don't want to overtax you. And I think maybe we'll leave a few minutes after where maybe some folks can come up and talk to you. Privately?
Please, yes.
Okay.
And you need to eat like Alice,
yeah.
right? You must be hungry.
But I do want to end with a song. I think we should play the end. Don't you?
Another sad one. All right.
Well, are they're not all sad.
Oh, please, whatever you
Yeah.
would like.
Jack,
Yes.
can you cue up the end?
It's the end, friend of mine. It's the end, friend of mine. Time is over. Or we could simply say I love you. Now you open the door. Leave me crying, trying to embrace you again, trying to face this damn situation, man, I can't. It's the end, friend of mine. It's the end, sweet friend of mine. Dear friend, I cannot tell the reasons why we started well, good time. Give me some wine when you open the door. You seem hurt to try to speak a word to me. What on earth could really go wrong with you and me? Yet it's the end, friend of mine. It's the end, sweet friend of mine. Time seems to be over. Well, we could simply say I love you. Now you open the door. I feel cold. Why can't I hold you in my arms? Told you that life is short but love is old. It's the end, friend of mine. It's the end, sweet friend
and Robbie Baier. Thanks for being so generous.
And Paul,
Thank you.